Hello everyone. For today's video I wanted to take a look at one of my rescue Phalaenopsis. So Phalaenopsis are the typical ones you see in grocery store. You'll see those most commonly. Basically anywhere really. And most of the time you'll find them without name tags, and so like many of them, this one does not have a name. It was a rescue I bought a few years back, and it's finally started blooming for me. And I've got a lovely set of flowers here. There's only 3, which is kind of upsetting, but it looks like the growth tip of the spike is starting to grow again. And the plant's massive. You can see it right there. It's got a nice root system in there. So it should put out more later once it starts getting warmed up. But they're nice flowers. I had no idea what it looked like when I got it. You can see how big of a flower that is, and you can see the gorgeous pattern on that. It looks like it has Stewartiana background because Stewartiana has and tends to impart. Oops, there's a fly. Tends to impart this patterning down here with the dark spots on the bottom sepals. They're very big. This one had an issue opening though, and so it got stuck and tore here and here. I don't know how. But the others did not have that, and this one's the most perfect of the 3. It's just gorgeous. It's like so uniform and perfect. I love it. Get the spike to stop. And so for me, rescue orchids of any kind are rewarding, especially if you've never bloomed them or seen them in bloom, because then you get to finally experience what they're like. And so with this one, it was especially fascinating because when I saw it starting to open up and I saw that patterning, I was thrilled. I have some other rescue Phalaenopsis too over here, and the Phalaenopsis table. Let me get some extra light on that. There we go. Like you can see a couple up here. They are recent rescues, and so they still look kind of sad from when I got them. They were lots of root rot. But these actually had tags. They're unregistered crosses, but both parents of each of these is registered, so that's cool. And then this one, the Phalaenopsis mucala, if anybody remembers that one from one of my spotlights, is in bloom now. See if I can get a. There we go. That's a lot better actually. You can see it there. The spotting, the white pickety around it, and the pinched tips. I love it. That one was not a rescue, although it's not a first-time bloomer for me either. I bloomed it a few times. But it's looking, yeah. So rescue orchids, the thing you have to remember about them is you got to be sure you first of all isolate them, because you never know if they're carrying any diseases or any like pests or anything. So you want to make sure they're disease and pest free. And then you got to take a look at them. You have to find out what's wrong with them that they were a rescue. Sometimes at Lowe's I've seen, the only thing wrong with them is that they went out of bloom. The plants are fine, the roots are fine, everything's fine. So that's great. You don't have to really do much with those. But for some of them, like this one, it had a lot of root rot, and so the leaves are limp from lack of water. So I put it in an airier mix because they were in packed tight moss in these flimsy plastic pots. So I transferred them into bark in better, more aerated pots. And so you want to find out if it's root rot, you want to get them into an airier mix, or if they're depending on the orchid, you might even mount it. And make sure that the roots are getting air, and the new roots will grow. The old pseudobulbs in parts of the plant will not regrow roots. So if you lose a root, it's not going to regrow another one from that area. But it's more so in sympodials that happens. Because like this is one of my smaller bulbophyllum divisions. This is Bulbophyllum longissimum. If let's say like this bulb lost all its roots, it's not going to grow any more roots. It's going to rely on this new growth right here to put out more roots in the future. So you want to make sure that they're in an airier mix so that you can get the plant back on track. But if it's got like a pest issue, you need to isolate it and keep it away from the rest of your plants and treat it as necessary. If it's a surface fungus, because if it's like Fusarium, there's no saving that. But if it's some kind of surface fungus or like black mold or black soot mold, it forms on plants when honeydew or like pests put out honeydew, like aphids put out honeydew when they feed off a plant. It'll if it's not taken up by ants, which usually come with the aphids, that it'll mold and develop black soot mold, which is harmless, but it's just unattractive. And actually, one of my Hoyas gets a lot of it because it's Hoya multiflora is what is the #1 species in the Hoya genus for putting out nectar. You know, it drips all over the plant and then it gets moldy, and I don't catch it in time. If I don't catch it in time, but with orchids that can happen too. And if it's like some kind of like other surface mold, or if it's like scale or mealybugs or aphids or something, you have to treat it. A systemic pesticide is usually a good way to go, and then you wipe the plant down. I wipe the plant down with my leaf cleaner solution in that pump bottle right there, which is 50% rubbing alcohol at 70% concentration, 50% water, distilled water because you don't want mineral deposits, and a teaspoon, or actually like half a teaspoon of dish soap. Just a little bit of something to break the surface tension and help smother pests. And it does a fantastic job. The alcohol dries things out, dries the pests out, and allows it to dry without leaving a residue. So it's perfect. It cleans the leaves, makes them shiny and nice again, and kills pests. It's great for scale, it's great for mealybugs, great for aphids. I use it for all of them. I wipe the plant down with it and spray it. It also works for spider mites and false spider mites, which are false spider mites are usually the worst of the two, but it works with them as well. You just wipe it down, it helps kill them off and keep them from coming back. And so you want to isolate it. Once you're positive it has no more infection, you can reintroduce it into your collection, but until then you want to keep them isolated. And so let me look at something else that's a rescue. Trying to find something else here that's a rescue that I can take a look at, because everything that's a rescue is buried somewhere. It's like all buried in the back places. Most of them are Phalaenopsis that are in there up front. Well, this is one right here actually. So this is, and you can see the tag, this is Vanda Anna Venus. I put it in this cup just to keep it a little bit more humid around the plant. It was a rescue in Texas that I got while I was shopping at Lowe's there, because they carry the bag babies. So this one, like, it's got some healthy leaves, it's growing a new leaf, but doesn't have a lot of roots, it never has, and so I'm hoping it'll start growing more if I trap the humidity more. And occasionally, like, I'll soak it, put some water in there, let the roots soak for an hour or two, and then dry it out again. But that one was a rescue. That one up there hiding in the shadows, because the shadows are making it kind of weird. Let me get some light on it. There we go. That one is an Oncidium catatante orange kiss. That one is a rescue that was given to me at my Orchid Society from Ron Midget of New Earth Orchids up north in Santa Fe. It's doing well. It's got some new growth. It's looking good so far. What else? This cornucurvi right here, Phalaenopsis cornucurvi, was a kind of a semi-rescue. It wasn't in the best shape, but I helped get it back on track. This Phalaenopsis down here that's mounted, let's see if I can look at it. That one, it's mounted facing downwards as an experiment. Get the Spanish moss out of the camera. There we go. It's mounted. It's Phalaenopsis sogogotris. That one's a rescue, and I mounted it because it didn't have a lot of roots, and I was going to try with it. But yeah, rescue orchids, well worth it. If you're willing to invest time and a little bit of money into like making sure they stay healthy and get back on track, well worth it, because you never know what you're going to find. You may end up with something gorgeous like this. Like, this is just a phenomenal set of blooms here. I just adore it. They're huge. Even though there's only 3 of them, they're huge. The spike tip is growing. The spike has lots of nodes that I could cut back to later if I wanted to. And these bigger Phalaenopsis tend to last a while too. I've heard some people have big Phalaenopsis like these, and the classic N4 whites last 4 to 5 months, maybe even more. So they last a while, and so I'm hoping to have a long bloom period with these, because they're just so delightful. I like the little tendrils on them too. The lip on these larger Phalaenopsis tend to have these little tendril curls on the end, whereas smaller ones, let me get some light on that again. Whereas smaller ones like Mucala here, it kind of lacks that curl. It's just got this little point up part, but it lacks the curl. And so that's what I like about this one. And even though it's no ID, I don't have a name for it, and I don't really want to breed with it because I'm interested in breeding named crosses, especially awarded ones. But it's still a delightful little one, and I'm glad I kept it. I'm glad I worked with it, and since it's such a massive and nice, handsome plant, I don't want to get rid of it. I stopped buying no IDs of any orchid. a long time ago, but this one was a rescue and I kept it. I wanted to bloom it. I finally got it to bloom, and so I'm super excited about it. So yeah, that was a little bit longer of a video than I anticipated for this, but just a little bit of my thoughts on how I deal with rescues, and a look at one of my favorite rescues so far. Again, here's another look at face forward, look at that flower. Here's a side-on view. So yeah, if you like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel and please share this video, and thank you for watching.